Hi everyone, I'm Ooi Zhe Jian. Matric number is 154011 from Group 16. I'm sure getting bad grade is something that most of us have experienced at one time in our academic journey, unless we are some kinds of super genius. But whenever we get a bad grade, we can't help but feel like absolutely trash, which is honestly really bad for mental health. This was happening during my second semester of STPM, and I remember that I was doing pretty bad for a few of my exam paper, and after all I went back to my room. I started to tear out my notes and very frustrations. So in this video, I'll be talking about how to bounce back from a failure, and more importantly, how to bounce back quickly, which is extremely important to make sure that you don't screw up the rest of a semester. Okay, so the very first lesson is that pain plus reflections equal progress. Instead of taking failure so seriously, try to think about it like a game that whenever you are able to overcome a problem, find the root cause and learn how to deal with it, you'll be rewarded with new skills that can help you solve similar problems you face in the future. So for example, after digging down into the root cause of the problem, I realized that the main problem for me was that I couldn't fully remember the information that was consuming. After all these reflections, I modified my way of studying for my exam. So in the future, I will definitely start my revision like 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, instead of just cramming everything down into the brain the few days leading up to the exam. So this concept not only can apply to studying, but also landing a job interview, or maybe starting your own business, and even can be applied to relationships. For example, if you had a failed relationship in the past, then you should go to think and find out the root cause. Maybe it's like a lack of communications, so you can learn these principles and you can apply it to a future relationship to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Next, my second point is failure is an integral part of life. Saying that you can avoid failure forever is like saying you can buy a stock that goes up forever with no drawdowns, and it's literally impossible. Can you imagine giving up as a baby when you were learning how to work? You wouldn't even be walking today if you did not overcome your failure as a kid and continue to pick yourself out of the ground to learn how to stand with your own 2 feet. You just have to learn how to run after the things you want, crash, get up, and run again. And every time you crash, you learn something, get better, and crash less. Okay, let's take my biggest idol, Elon Musk, as an example. So Elon definitely had his fair share of failure when he building out his dream. The lawsuit, 3 times record failures, and relationship problems all happens at the same time. But at the end of the day, he pushed through, and look at where he is today. One of the most successful innovators that paving the future for humanity. Last but not least, 10-10-10 methods. So basically, when dealing down with failure or having unhelpful thoughts, you can zoom out and look at the big picture instead. So you can ask yourself, how is this gonna affect me in the next 10 minutes? Or maybe even the next 10 months, and I bet in the next 10 years, when you look back at this problem, you won't even remember how painful it was. So I'm sure we all had time in our life where we thought like it was the end of the world, like you failed an exam or you had a failed relationships, but it's always really nice to know that fast forward many years down the road, all these little things won't affect you anymore. It's just a really good way to keep you positive at the moment. To quickly recap, here are the 3 points to overcome any failure in life. First, pain plus reflections equal progress. Failure is the way for us to improve ourselves so that we can aim for even bigger goals. Second, failure is an integral part of life. It is impossible to live without making any mistakes. The third method is 10-10-10 methods. You will discover that many things you are now concerned with are not a big deal in the big picture. And that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for your attention.